Hi, everybody. It's Julie Hollinger, a Programs Manager at the Petawawa Military Family Resource Center, and we are here for another Fireside Chat Wednesday. We are really excited. We have a number of community partners joining us today, so we are really glad that we were able to bring that to you. Today, we are going to do a second part of something that we did at the end of last month for Healthy Relationships Month. At that time, we talked about the fact that it was Healthy Relationships Month at Garrison, Petawawa during the month of October. We talked about some of the things that people can expect, and during the month, we've gone through, we've talked to a number of our community partners about different services and different resources that were available to couples, and we wanted to close the month off just by reviewing the month and also by sharing some of those resources with you so you knew what was available to you. A lot of times we focus on these things during the month and we forget that at the end of the month, there's still work to be done and things that we can continue doing. So we wanted to give all that to you, not necessarily as homework, but just things that you can sort of think about in the back of your mind. As we go through and we introduce these folks, we are going to be sharing their contact information in the comments. A number of them are going to be talking about different programs and different resources that are available online. And we're going to share those links as well. So don't worry if you didn't catch them as we go, we are going to share those with you. If you were watching this session live, we would encourage you, if you have a question or something that you'd like us to follow up on, add that to the comment section. We're going to circle back to that at the end. So if you've got a question, we are definitely happy to address that. I'm going to go around and introduce my panelists before we start. Chris Quigley is here. She is the Family Advocacy Coordinator at the PMFRC. Dan Parker is here. He's also with the PMFRC and he's a Family Liaison Officer. Bonnie Blado is here. She is with SISIP at Garrison, Petawawa. Dana Lawson is here. She is from Health Promotions at Garrison, Petawawa. Padre Schweier is joining us. He is also from the Garrison, and Claudia Beswick, who's the Executive Director of the PMFRC and who joins us almost every week. It's good to have you back, Claudia. We're going to start with you. We start every one of these sessions talking about business resumption and what is happening at the PMFRC, what's opening, what we might still be hanging back on. Do you want to talk about where we are right now?
Absolutely. So there's no significant changes, from our last week's Fireside Chat. We continue to be diligent in our COVID safety protocols and all of our processes. So anyone visiting us at the Northside office will be asked to complete a screening form when they come in and to please make sure that you're wearing your mask. Right now, only our essential services and activities are being conducted in person and only at the Northside office, which is the only office open to the public. We've revamped the majority of our programs to a virtual platform. So if there's something that you enjoy doing with us in person, chances are that you can find the online option for it on our website. If there's something that you would like to see for us to do virtually, then don't hesitate to reach out to us and let us know. We sure miss seeing everybody and facilitating all of our programs in person, but we continue to monitor the situation and fingers crossed that we'll be able to do more in-person activities soon. Meanwhile, the team is here to support you, so don't hesitate to reach out to the staff with any questions, concerns, or ideas. Email is always the best way to reach the staff. It's the easiest way because they are primarily still working from home, and all the contact information can be found on our CAFconnection website. And I'll finish off by saying a huge thank you to everyone for the ongoing patience and understanding as we transition to all of the virtual platforms and everything that we're having to re-navigate because of the challenges of the pandemic. And we've had some really good feedback from a lot of the users and from the community and from our stakeholders about all of these things that we're doing to support families online. And it really is truly appreciated for all of your consistent support of us as we maneuver through all of this. So Dana, what about you? Do you want to do an update on Health Promotions and where you guys are with your programs?
Absolutely. Thanks, Claudia. So since about mid-September, we've been able to offer in-person programming. As of right now, though, just with the restrictions on the Garrison, we are only taking CAF personnel on our workshops, some defense team employees as well, because they've been cleared to go to work on the Garrison. The gym as well, right now where our office is still only open to military personnel during the day, and that's not changing in the near future. So again, your best bet is to keep your eye on our health promotion page or the PSP Petawawa page, our CAF Connection page that we share, and you'll have all the updates as things are opening. We're trying to get as much program and support up there, but realize that, there are still quite a few restrictions and we need to be cautious and ensure that we're keeping everybody safe. So with regards to the family members, because unfortunately the programs aren't open at this point, the in-person workshops, I would encourage them to take part in, or, sit at home and look at some of the webinars that we've held in the past, as well, working with your team. If there's, requests for some of those webinars to be done again live, by all means, we can do that. So keep those lines of communication open and we'll be there to support you for sure. Thanks, Claudia.
If you look in the comment section, we are going to share a link to the Health Promotions Facebook page, and you can scroll back and take a look at some of those workshops that have been offered online. There's some really great content there. If you want to get a hold of any of the PMFRC staff, you can find that staff directory on CAFconnection. We can share the link. And if you want to get directly to Claudia, we are also going to share that feedback link, because when she says she wants your feedback, she is really, honestly, very much open to that. So if you've got comments and suggestions, we'd love to hear it. Dana, we talked about the fact that this was Healthy Relationship Month. Do you just want to give it a little bit of an overview of where we've been and some of the things that have been happening this month for Healthy Relationship Month?
Sure, absolutely. So this campaign has actually been around for probably about 13 years. I was looking at some files the other day, and it has morphed and changed over a number of years. Recently, the last couple of years, it moved from take a stand against family violence to more that prevention focus. So promoting those healthy relationships. Within it, there's still a lot of great resources that are going to help folks no matter where they are in that healthy relationship continuum, whether in the green, the yellow, the orange, or the red. I think the biggest piece of trying to shift that focus was really to remove some of the stigma. When you're out and you're educating the community, you're trying to raise awareness around the resources and things. When a title says, family violence, and someone stops, folks might assume, well, they might think I'm in a violent relationship, or, so there's a lot of judgment that can happen. When we put out information on a healthy relationship, that's for everybody. And within that, then you can find where do you fit and how are those tools and resources going to be able to support you. So I think that's one of the positives that has really come out of this shift, is that everybody wants to be in those healthy relationships. And so by framing it that way, we're recognizing that we're giving those tools and the resources to everybody to be able to use when they actually need them. Over the course of the campaign this year, because it had to be virtual, just do with everything, so that I'm hopefully a lot of folks saw then the different posts that were put out and will continue to be put out right up until this weekend, with tips on, talking to your kids about what is a healthy relationship. Again, let's give people skills when they're young, so that, we can prevent and encourage that development of those relationships. To actually looking at the community, or the healthy relationship mental health or continuum. I always call it the mental health continuum. It's very similar in the colors, but the healthy relationship continuum, to see where you're at with that. Or if you're concerned about somebody, how to have that conversation. So there's been a lot of really good resources that are there. And the nice thing that, even though this campaign really focused on the month, everything is going to be available all year long. So hopefully we started to raise that awareness with the campaign this year, and then individuals can go and look for that stuff when they need it, or, after they've had a time to digest the information.
So we are sharing links to all that information. The CAFconnection page has all those resources together, and we are separately sharing a link to that continuum, because I think it's such a great tool to sort of take a look at where you are and then where you want to be. So all that information is in the comment section. Bonnie, thank you for joining us. You were one of the community partners that reached out to us after the last session to talk about some of the resources that were available through SISIP. And a lot of people may not necessarily connect healthy relationships and SISIP naturally, but we know from experience that a lot of couples, one of the hot button issues, especially with everything we're going on, is finances. And SISIP, if you are from a military family, SISIP really has a lot of tools that can help you in that area. Do you want to talk about what services are available and how people can reach out to you?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for having me. So I'm Bonnie Blado, and I'm the financial counselor with SISIP Financial. So we offer the services that people are aware of, such as the insurance coverages and financial planning for investing. But my role as a financial counselor is to support serving members and their spouses with their financial situation. So I've been here 13 years and have really over the years tried to swing the pendulum from you only go see a SISIP financial counselor if you're experiencing financial hardship, to certainly continue to do that, but also to use the service to support you in learning to build financial spending plans, to learn to develop a budget or improve upon one for the prevention piece as well, and really encourage people to use that service that we offer to have really good understanding of your finances. You know, your financial health, in addition to mental health, physical health, is very important in managing relationships. Unfortunately and statistically, financial hardships within couples causes more relationship breakdowns than a number of other things. So it's big, and we really like to be able to assist couples, you know, together in developing a plan, you know, focusing on what are your goals individually in common for your finances. And when I say goals, it's not specific to large things like buying a house, taking a vacation, that sort of thing. It could be, you know, we're really struggling to get our bills paid monthly. A goal would be, and a big stress reliever, to make sure that's handled. We want to start saving a little bit of money for emergencies. We'd like to see our families because we're from the East Coast, but we don't have the money to travel. How can we build all of that in? Removing those stressors and the unknowns, just taking back some control of your finances and having an action plan goes a long way to reducing the stress between couples. In meeting with a lot of couples, I found, you know, people come from different backgrounds. They have different thought processes, money personalities, if you will. You may have one person who's a saver and one who's a spender. And that's where I'd like to try to facilitate conversations to find that common ground, hear perspectives from both parties. You know, what's important to you, what's important to your partner, and where can we find that balance? That alone will really help in relieving some of that tension between couples when they just don't see eye to eye on discussing their finances. And it happens. Might be a fantastic couple in a lot of ways, start talking about money, and you hit barriers. So I'd like to be able to offer that support. And certainly if anybody is experiencing financial hardship, please do let me know. You know, we'll sit down and do a full financial assessment. Let's see what's going on, what's the clear picture, what do we need to fix or improve upon, and try to come up with that action plan to get people there and facilitate those conversations.
Two things I want to circle back on. A lot of people who are maybe new to the military may not know that SISIP is available for the member, but the spouse is also welcome to go to those appointments as well. Is that correct? I just want to make sure.
Absolutely.
For both.
Yes, I encourage that, especially if you are in a couple. I really encourage both parties to attend. I'm very interested in both parties' perspectives. We're all individuals, but also that everybody's getting the same message and we can discuss things. You know, we may have an action plan, and I've said this to folks: don't you go home and tell your spouse that I said they need to do this. I'm suggesting, you know, this could be something, you know, that we could look at. But I definitely, if at all possible, I really encourage both parties to attend.
Number two, you've got a workshop coming up. Do you want to tell us about that? Because I think people might find that of interest.
I do. So on November 24th at the Base Theatre, it's live, it's in person for now, as far as we know. I'm offering a one-day money management workshop. It's 9 a.m. till 3, and again at the Base Theatre, so there's no worry about not being able to get on the Garrison. And it is open to members and spouses. And it's the basics of managing your money, right from basically how to read the Emma Pay statement through to knowing what you need to know about your credit report and managing your money, budgeting, planning for emergencies, and everything in between. So absolutely encourage people to sign up, register if they like, and we can do that by just calling the SISIP office. We are located in the Kennex Plaza, immediately to the right when you come through the front doors, and our telephone number is 687-0025.
Perfect. Padre Schreier, you also have a resource that you want to tell us about. It's a course that couples can do online and can do together. Do you want to talk about that package?
Absolutely. Well, good morning, everyone. Yeah, so one of our Padres, Lieutenant Commander Irwin, who's on a deployment right now, had a relationship with Dr. Sue Johnson, and she wrote a book, and it was called Hold Me Tight. Actually got the book right here, and it's about the 7 conversations for a lifetime of love. And the online program that we have to offer actually takes partners through each one of those chapters and each one of those conversations. So some examples of the conversations that you might be having is just recognizing what Sue Johnson calls the demon dialogues. And that's that terrible spiral that we can get ourselves into in an argument where tensions just keep escalating. And we need to understand that it is a very predictable cycle, that it is it's well understood in research, And if we can understand it in our own relationships, really that's kind of the key part of the book, because then you build out from there. When you understand the cycle that's going to suck you into an argument, then you can start to look at, well, what are some of the raw spots that take you personally into the tension and having some of those arguments in a relationship. And then you're just going to work through understanding that better. You're going to work through a conversation where you're looking to revisit a rocky moment so you can understand how your cycle works and what sort of triggers it in your relationship. And then you're going to look through how to effectively employ what we call, it's emotionally focused therapy. So it's trying to really dig into what are some of those raw feelings that maybe we're not even aware of in the moment, that is really coming through, that creates that fight, flight, or freeze response in our brains, that we're just trying to survive the moment. And therefore, working from there, how to do forgiveness, how to work on some of those injuries that we have both participated in within a relationship. And so it's an online course that is trying to help a couple move through and understand those sort of things within a relationship. The online course, you can expect some video teaching on there. You're going to have some teaching from Sue Johnson. And you're also going to see couples actually trying to work out the principles that she's teaching for each conversation that a couple needs to have. So that's in order to get connected with that program. If you are, well, any of our military members can connect to it through dropping me an email, pretty simple, at robert.schweier@forces.gc.ca. And it doesn't matter which unit they're at the Garrison, but I will get an online code to that couple. And then you can work on that within your relationship. Or if you are civilian, but you are connected to somebody in the military, but you're going to access through the PMFRC, Chris Quigley, there at the PMFRC, also has the ability to get you connected with a code online. So we want to make this a program that is able to, do some maintenance within our relationships and be able to dig in a little deeper and understand why we have some of the arguments that we have and what's a better way forward with that. So that's kind of the program that we have available as well.
Is this a course that happens on set dates, or if somebody signs up to it, can they work at it on their own pace according to their own schedules?
Yeah, it's according to your own pace, your own schedules. It's online. You have access to it, I believe, for up to about 3 years once you have the access code. So you can revisit it if you need to, and you can work at it your own pace. Even if you're separated by distance, let's say somebody's on IR or something like that, you can each do it, do the session yourself and then perhaps talk together, Skype, FaceTime, whatever, and be able to go over some of the sessions if you are even apart.
I think it's so important that we could just sort of emphasize the fact that it's something that you can make work for your family's lifestyle, even if you are in one of those sort of odd military situations that maybe somebody else may not have thought about, those separations and those distances. So you have the time to schedule it according to your needs. It's not like you've got to be there every Wednesday at 6.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you, Padre. I appreciate that. Dan, thank you for joining us. You are a family liaison officer at the PMFRC, and you spend a lot of time dealing with couples. I imagine this has been an interesting year for you. A lot of couples going through a lot of very unique and very different challenges than they have in the past. And I don't want to be the doomsayer, but I think that when we sort of take a look at the way the numbers and the cases and the news are going in Ontario, I think that we can all expect that maybe we're going to spend a little bit more time with our families this year than we have in past. And that all puts a lot of pressure on marriages. It puts a lot of pressure on relationships. Do you want to talk about the kinds of things that you are seeing this year and some of your colleagues are seeing with people coming in?
Well, and Julie, first and foremost, yeah, absolutely. This is unique, I think, is probably the nice way of saying it. I mean, hey, it's been a century since the last major pandemic, right? But yes, certainly we've been seeing, if nothing else, I think what we're seeing is more this kind of amplification of what's kind of already existed. Because I mean, we look at a program, let's say like Hold Me Tight, what Padre Schweier was talking about, like these things, these conversations have been around for decades in terms of like attachment psychology and these types of things. So these cycles have existed for quite some time, but it's certainly amplified by this loss of control that's happening within relationships, this lack of this kind of sense of being able to go and just do what we would usually do. Even just going out and getting groceries becomes so much more of a chore. Do I go inside? Do I go over and pick it up at the store? Do I start having certain things delivered? Having all of these questions and confusion is certainly very new. Additionally, boundary roles and role boundary shifting and role shifting within the relationship, changes in who's doing what in the home, because if let's say both spouses are there in the house, and so now dealing with the kids, hey, you know, the member, for example, might not have been so involved with childcare and is now having to do all of these extra things on top of the regular role. A lack of personal space if you're not used to being in kind of that confined space, not being able to go out anywhere. Money issues, has already been mentioned. Intimacy in all of its different forms. And then additionally, when you're at home a lot and you're not able to do a lot of things, we end up spending a lot more time on our devices and in front of tablets and laptops, computers, TVs, the whole 9 yards. It can just keep going and going and going. And one of the things that we're seeing with more screen time is additionally more impact on things like sleep, increases in anxiety and depression. And so, and then of course we have the seasons changing now. So what used to be in the diagnostic manual is seasonal affective disorder. And so we're going to see all of these impacts, and we are seeing all of these impacts on a fairly regular basis. I can speak to the client. I can speak about the clients that I'm seeing. Chris, being on the intake side of things, certainly would be seeing a little bit more, I think, of on the general side. But I mean, all of these factors are impacting relationships, and then even just not really knowing, is it better to see somebody in the office? When are they actually there? Is the online thing worthwhile, which it totally is? Do we use a program like Hold Me Tight before coming in and seeing a therapist? Well, how do we do all of these things? And there's a lot of questions, and I think we're seeing that more and more as this wonderful pandemic just seems to continue and prolong itself. We're seeing more people reaching out, which is actually a really good thing.
So if someone decides that they want to reach out and they do need help in all these areas, Chris, what's your recommendation for them?
So I would highly recommend that folks give me an email, being the first point of contact or the gatekeeper for all of the mental health services. I can certainly navigate with them what that looks and feels like for them. It might very well be, hey, do you want to try the Hold Me Tight program before you start counseling? Because sometimes what ends up happening is we're battling with getting ready for deployments and exercise and those kinds of things. So coming into a counseling session might not be easy at that time. And so I don't want that to be a barrier for couples. Oh, okay, well, we can't see anybody, so things are just going to get worse, or whatever the case may be is. We will do our very best to try to navigate some time that works for both families, but having a look at or both sides of the family, but having a look at the Hold Me Tight program would probably be another answer to some questions that couples are having. And listening to Sue Johnson, actually, she says that military folk really enjoy the Hold Me Tight program because it's very logical. And she knows that the military folk like logic, right? So she says there's a lot of science and stuff in there that, and she did comment that the guys like, but I'm sure there's lots of other, the other side of the relationship like it too, in terms of the logical and the science piece. So I would say, and you're going to leave my contact information in the below the feed here. Yeah. So I would say for folks to give me a call, and it doesn't have to be the military member. It can certainly be the partner of. I will share though, with regard to ongoing service for dual serving couples, if you're looking for couples work, we can see you in our virtual walk-in, as we would we have gone because of COVID. We would normally have a regular walk-in on Wednesday nights, but we could see you for that first time session, and then through all of that support, then we can identify if you need to be referred to Garrison Mental Health because you are a dual serving couple, or is it the Hold Me Tight program that you want to take a shot at first to see if that's going to support the pieces that you want to deal with.
Thank you, Chris. As I'm listening to everybody, I think it's so important to sort of emphasize the fact that I think that even thinking back to my own last couple of months, people aren't alone. I think that a lot of people who might be sort of sitting there and thinking that they're the only ones who are struggling and this is the only relationship that's they're struggling, and you're not. Like, everyone is out there, and I think we really want to emphasize that. And we also want to, as I'm listening to you, so much of this is skills. I mean, I'm talking about listening to Bonnie talking about, these are financial skills and things that you can learn, and listening to the Padre talk about, these are like communication skills, and about Dana talking about the courses. There's a lot of things that you can do and that you can learn to help these things along. So I have all of this collected wisdom here, and I'd like to do a little bit of a round table. If you could give one piece of advice to a couple right now who might be struggling, or even if they're not struggling, if they're thinking, I really want to spend this time just investing in my relationship a little bit more. What's one quick and easy hit thing that I can do to make that happen? So I'm going to pick on Padre first, because you probably get this question a lot. So I'm going to start with you and give everybody else a chance to sort of think of theirs. Padre, you want to start us off?
Sure. I mean, for me, it's simply reach out to talk to someone who can help you. Sometimes, just talking, on the spouse Facebook comment section isn't maybe the appropriate place to reach out, but to reach out to somewhere where you can get help, whether that be, Chris at the PMFRC, whether that is, the Padre in your unit lines, but reach out to someone who then can help guide you into a way forward when you definitely are in this place of struggle and tension within your relationship.
Perfect. Claudia, I'm going to go with you next.
I would say that communication really is the key. And, outside of the current pandemic that we're dealing with, there's the added stress of, just being a military family when you consider the constant moves, the deployments, the lack of extended family, not where you're at. So, it can be really challenging as a couple or for the whole family. It's always good to check in and talk to each of you individually, like talk to each other to see what you're struggling with, and know that it's okay to be mad or sad or even happy, if you happen to be posted to a place that you really enjoy. But I think the key piece is talking about it with each other. And we know sometimes that that's very hard to do, but it's definitely an important part of maintaining that healthy relationship. It helps as a couple, and it helps as individuals in the bigger part of the family picture to feel valued and supported.
Thank you. Bonnie?
As the Padre said, please just reach out, give me a call if you'd like to have a chat, just to, see what I'm all about, what I have to say, how perhaps I can help you, support you. Please do. A lot of folks hold their cards very close to their chest when talking about finances, or are embarrassed if they feel that they've done it wrong, they've incurred too much debt. We're at where we are today. My theory is that we need to look forward and move ahead and, talk about progress, not perfection, that sort of thing. So bottom line, please just give me a call, send me an email. Very happy to talk to everybody and see if we can provide some services for you.
In so many cases, these are not issues that do better the more time you let them fester. So make that call early. Don't be afraid to reach out at the beginning. Don't think I'm not bad enough yet. Let's see what we can do now. Chris, would you anything you want to talk about or share?
So to quote Sue Johnson, she says that emotional communication and connection is like oxygen. We need it and couples need it. So if you find that your emotional and your communication connection isn't working, then your oxygen is going to get cut off with your relationship. So connect with us and we can put that oxygen mask on and help you breathe a little bit better.
Dan, what do you have for us?
To kind of put a few things together, because sorry, was it Dan or Dana?
Dan.
Okay, perfect. Sorry. To kind of put a couple of these things together, because reaching out, absolutely, and keeping that communication open. But I think just remaining open and kind of realizing, you know, how open are you to kind of have that invitation to communication, to the challenges of day-to-day life, to doing new things, to looking into some of these newer options that might not have been thought of before, or you might be uncomfortable with, but remaining open to these openness to experiences and openness to challenges is going to be a big one, and especially if you choose to reach out. If you choose to reach out to the Padre, if you choose to reach out to SISIP, any of us, or any other services, or just anybody that you know, friends, neighbors, whatever, remaining open to what some of those options might be, and preparing to be challenged in almost every way. Because let's say you do choose counseling, the challenge is going to be there, and you never know what the challenge is going to look like until you get there. But keeping open.
Thank you. Dana, I'm ending with you only because, and I was teasing Dana before this started, we did this roundtable last month, and Dana's tip just totally knocked me back on my heels. So I let her go last because I knew she was just going to blow my mind.
Now the bar has been set so high. About what everyone else has said. I'm like, okay, they're saying all the things I want to say. So I am going to actually reach back to what I used last time, because you did find it so like, aha, inspirational. So we encourage folks, you know, when you're going to be having those conversations, because this is really what it's about, right? Your relationship, you want it to be healthy. You have to have conversations, and sometimes they're difficult conversations. So look internally at yourself first and do what we call the quick HALT analysis to find out, you know what, am I in the right frame of mind to be having this conversation right now? Because sometimes we're not, and we have to be willing to accept that. So HALT stands for, are you hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? So do that quick check-in and see where you're at. If you have any of those, some of those you can fix. You know, maybe it's you hadn't been connected with someone for a while. Maybe you didn't sleep well the night before, and that's going to impact your ability to communicate in a positive, effective way. So just check in with that, and you know, if you're good to go, great. And if you're not, be willing to acknowledge that and say, okay, you know what, maybe this isn't the best time to talk about the finances or to talk about the kids or whatever it happens to be. Can we come back to it later? And kind of setting those parameters within that relationship to so that you're supporting each other within that. So.
And I am happy to tell you, in the last month, I have used that on at least 3 different occasions where I've stopped and I'm like, you are too hungry to have this conversation, and it's made all the difference. So
Julie, self-reflection, not telling someone else.
Exactly. So my husband of 25 years thanks you for those conversations you didn't have to have with a hungry, grumpy wife. Dana, just before we go, and we joke about this, but I think in a lot of cases, there are some people who are in relationships that may feel like they're in danger, and the relationship has gotten past the point where they really at this point need to reach out, and they need to look after their own safety, or maybe the safety of their children. If someone finds themselves in that situation, or if you recognize that in somebody you know, where should that person go?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up. So I know you're going to put some links in the chat, you know, your standard ones, you know, 911, the Garrison, our military police. We also we're very blessed. There's a lot of great community resources here. So the first thing is to recognize that, you know what, you're not alone. Even if you're a family who got posted here and you're feeling very isolated because maybe your family's all on the West Coast, maybe you don't speak, maybe French is your first language and English, and this is an English, you know, community. So there could be lots of barriers that you think, you know, would prevent you from getting safe. So we want you to know that you are not alone. There are a number of amazing resources that are out there. The Bernadette McCann House is a shelter for women. And although it's a shelter for women, they will also support men who contact as well. Same with the women's sexual assault line, they will support men as well. So even though the focus has been a lot on the female being the affected person, you know, anybody can reach out. So really hope folks will take that away. Also, again, go back to those resource and tip sheets. It talks there about creating that safety plan, you know, so to take a look at, you know, what things do I need to put in place in order to make sure that myself and my kids are safe, and that we can get to a place where we're going to be okay. And as well, the decision tree is there to help you if you do happen to notice that or are concerned about a friend, to be able to then support and set them. So bottom line, just reach out. There are emergency funds that are available. If you're scared, if you think, you know what, financial abuse is something that's happening and I don't have access to funds to be able to, you know, get home and to get to my family, talk to one of these great community members that are on this panel today, reach out to them. And they'll try to work with you. Every situation is individual, and they'll find out, you know, what supports you and what do you need.
Thank you. I think that's an important thing to make sure that we emphasize. Claudia, before we go, do you want to talk about some of the services that are available through the PMFRC for couples who are maybe want to spend some time investing in the relationship this winter?
Sure. I know pretty much everyone knows that there's a broad, diverse number of programs that the PMFRC offers, and it really is fundamental to supporting the CAF community. So CAF member, the family, the extended family, wherever there's challenges or resources required, it's really our objective to provide those services so we can address those challenges. Prior to COVID, as Chris had mentioned, we had our weekly mental health walk-in clinic. And even though now we're still maintaining the virtual platform, the mental health team has extended their single session model to allow more flexibility for families to seek supports beyond that normal 8 to 4. So check in with Chris, the Family Advocacy Office, and she can provide more information on this or set appointments to either give you more information about what's available in the community or to set up a time with one of the clinicians. I think it's also important for teens to have access to support services when they need them. So we're happy to report that we have our new youth counselor. She started, and she'll be splitting some of her time between the office or working from home and within the schools at Bishop Smith and Valor. So she, I believe, is starting within the next week or so at Bishop Smith, and then in a couple of weeks at Valor. And teens are able to reach out to her directly and ask any questions or set up an appointment if that's what they're comfortable doing. You know, and maintaining that healthy lifestyle is really a balance. And a part of that may include all the fun activities or just connecting and communicating. It's not always about that mental health support. So we also have other programs and services that are available. We have the date night program, other things that we can do that can create some special time, one-on-one time for the couples to do. Also, you know, it could be a bit challenging. We're in high readiness. We know that there are some challenges when it comes to families who are dealing with deployment. So we have some really good activities to stay connected, talking about communication. There's that demystifying deployment, there's deployment readiness, there's Dare to Leap, which really is all about taking care of yourself. Just to add on to what Dana said, it's doing that internal, how are you, how are you feeling? And just trying to get through the deployment. So for anyone wanting to send their spouse a care package or whatever else, morale mail is back. You can drop that stuff off at the Northside office. And I think really children dealing with deployment, typically we were in the schools pre-COVID and we can't be in the schools now. So that program is virtual, and in a sense, it's now a little bit easier and more accessible for everyone to participate in that. And I think these are just a few highlights. There's so much more. Every healthy relationship is very unique and dependent to that family and to that couple. So hopefully there's something for you that you can find through the services that we offer. And I'm going to be repetitive and say, if you have suggestions, then let us know. This team at the PMFRC, they connect constantly with our national counterparts. There's 32 MFRCs across the country, and there is a broad range of very good programs. And if there's something you saw at one base you'd like to see us try here, then let us know. We will reach out and see what we can do and what is the capacity for us to do that locally. So talk to us and check us out, and we're happy to support as best we can.
Dana, anything coming up from health promotions you'd like to share? You're on mute.
Yes, I'm up. There we go. So yes, again, right now for our CAF personnel, we do have some great workshops right through till December. So we have a Managing Angry Moments happening November 10 and 12. And we have a Stress Take Charge happening in early December. And we have a Mental Fitness Suicide Awareness General happening next week. So those are some of the key ones that are happening in the next 3 or 4 weeks. But again, check our CAF Connection page and you'll get the full schedule there.
Thank you everybody for joining us. Just before we go, I just want to say, like, the people who are on this call today, many of them reached out to us. They reached out to us because they wanted to make sure that families knew about the services that were available, and they do this work because they truly care about families, they truly care about the military community, and they want to be there and to provide that support. So please, you're not alone. It's not like there's nobody there for you. Reach out, look at the comments. There's a lot of telephone numbers there. There's a lot of email addresses, and these people are more than happy to do what they need to do to support you through this time. Thank you all for joining us. We are going to be back next week to talk about mental health supports that are available. And thank you all. Have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you.